Navy pilot got the surprise of his life when his aircraft burst into flames, forcing him to crash land in the shallow waters of Portmore Lough near Ballinderry. The incident is still remembered to this day by people living along the loch shore, and the plane is nearing the end of a lengthy restoration project, as Mervyn Jess reports.
Migrating swans are what you'll find landing on Portmore Lough this December. But on Christmas Eve, 75 years ago, a much bigger aviator splashed down in these shallow waters not far from Lough Neagh. A Grumman Wildcat warplane was forced to ditch after the engine exploded just after takeoff from nearby Longkesh airfield. The Navy pilot, Peter Lough, survived the crash and was rescued by local people who saw the plane coming down on the water. Among them, Seamus Kane, who was a schoolboy at the time.
It was Christmas Eve, and I remember my sister putting up holly in the house, and I started to shout that the plane had fallen in the lake. I watched the pilot coming out of the plane and walking to the tail of her. He said to my brothers, "Look at the state I'm in, and I'm going to a party tonight."
The pilot made the Christmas Eve party in the mess that evening, a little wetter than most, but with a story to tell. In the mid-80s, more than 40 years after the crash, Peter Lough returned to Portmore, where he met members of the Kane family who helped rescue him. Over the decades, the crashed plane settled into the mud, almost submerged, before it was winched out by an army helicopter in 1984. It's been 35 years in the rebuilding, but this Wildcat World War II aircraft holds a very special place in the hearts of the Ulster Aviation Society.
Well, this was an American-produced aircraft, and unfortunately the United States does not release military drawings of aircraft or any war equipment, and there was no real information on how the 10 bits all went together. So we've been working from scratch, basically, from day one.
The waters of the lough are plane-free these days, but the Wildcat's time at the bird sanctuary hasn't been forgotten.
Probably the only one that's ever had a plane crash into it. I suppose they've got Belfast International just up the road, so we can count the swans, the ducks and all the other birds, and all the Airbuses going over as well, which makes it fairly unique.
This Christmas there are more seasonal flyers at Portmore Lough. Mervyn Jess, BBC Newsline, Ballinderry.